Today on Fast, Loud, and Rude, we have Violent Insurrection from East Seattle. How are you guys doing today?
Good, good.
Yep,
Doing great.
doing good.
And why don't you each introduce yourselves and what you do in the band, as well as talk about any other band members you have.
Okay, I'm Sage. I'm the guitarist in Violent Insurrection.
I'm Ashton. I'm the singer of Violent Insurrection.
I'm Jacob. I am the other guitarist of Insurrection.
And then we have Spencer, who's the bassist, and Odie, who's the drummer, and they weren't able to make it today.
It's
Yeah,
Otis, but we call him Odie.
Yeah.
gotcha. And what's the history of Violent Insurrection? When did this band get started? How's the course of that gone?
Yeah, so I met Spencer in high school. Ashton's my brother, and Ashton was friends with Jacob. But with the band started in 2019, which is funny. That's always something people always comment about the name. We actually came up with it before the whole January 6th event.
Mm,
Uh, but so we coined it first. But we I started teaching Spencer how to play guitar, and then from there I dragged my brother into it. He was originally going to try playing drums, but then he's like, you know what, I kind of suck at this. But he told us, he's like, I know this guy who I was friends with who plays guitar. Can we bring him in? And we're like, all right, let's bring him in. So then we brought in Jacob in, I think it was the summer of 2019, and everyone else was still learning their instruments. I was the only one who really knew how to play my instrument. And then Jacob came in and he could play some stuff, but Ashton overhyped him on his capabilities. But we were like, well, this guy's awesome to hang out with, let's just bring him into the band anyways. And then from there we ran through a whole collective of drummers, a whole bunch of drama with different drummers. But we finally found Odie in 2023. We got him into the band in October, and ever since then it's been a strong, you know, five of us that we've been able to do stuff with and be able to move forward.
Jacob, any reply to the idea that you might be overrated?
I have some doubts.
He's he's not overrated anymore, but Ashton was saying this guy's the next Eddie Van Halen, and we were like,
I could play
no.
Master of
But
Puppets.
now he's probably better than I am for most of it. And we were all self-taught. I taught Spencer how to play, I taught myself, and then Jacob, I would teach him, show him a couple things when he had a question, but he was pretty much self-taught, and he caught up to me within a really short amount of time. And now we can compete for who writes harder riffs and who can pull it off better.
So I
So
was right.
yeah, I guess now you're right, but back then you weren't. But no, Jacob came a long way really, really, really fast. I'm very, very proud of him for that.
And what got each of you individually into this type of music?
So I was into it probably since I was about 12. I always liked heavy music, but uh, my parents didn't listen to a lot of heavy stuff. My dad really liked AC/DC, so I gravitated toward that because that was the heaviest stuff. And when things were on the radio that were heavy, I'd like that, and I'd be like, "Hey, this is cool. This is cool." But when I was about 12, I stole a Master of Puppets cassette tape from my parents' room, and I plugged it in. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I kept going in there and I looked for more stuff, and I don't know if my parents, my mom caught on to it because she started putting heavier and heavier music in there that kept showing up. So then it was Testament and Slayer, and then from there. And then when I was about 14, 15, I told my mom about it. She's like, oh, yeah, it's Slayer, Testament, Metallica. I've totally been into that. I'm like, why was I listening to radio music my whole life then? But then I dragged Ashton into it, because I was trying to get him into metal. And so I was just throwing him a bunch of stuff, see what stuck. And a lot of it was too extreme, him going from nothing to, Cannibal Corpse was a little much. But then I think it was Ailstorm that I got him on, and then that one stuck. And then
It was Ailstorm, and then
yeah,
I started trying to listen to other things, and nothing stuck. And then suddenly I made the leap to Onslaught, which is insane because those are wildly different, but I love both of them. And then that's sort of how it started. Then it
yeah.
went to Creator and Slayer and all those.
It's a very fraternal story.
Yeah.
How about you, Jacob?
For me, started in around sixth grade for me. I took a guitar elective for acoustic guitar. I thought it was gonna be electric guitar all the way, like you're playing rock songs with the whole class. I didn't think it was acoustic guitar class at all. Very surprised, very jarring. I got through that class and I was interested in guitar enough to where I was like, well, Dad, I need an electric guitar. I want to play some heavier stuff. And my dad was like, well, oh yeah, well, I bet you can't play this. And he played Master of Puppets. And I was like, whoa, what's this? I had mainly been raised on classic rock, some alternative stuff, but that's the first time I really heard metal. And I just from that, I started practicing metal music. And when I got into high school, freshman year, I met Ashton, and he's a little goofy looking, so I,
A
I,
little?
yeah, a little bit. I was like, oh, I don't know too much about this character, but we started talking, and he was mentioning bands like Slayer. I was like, well, what are those guys? Started listening to those. That fully integrated me into the metal genre ever since.
Yeah. And then Spencer, how he got into metal, I was sitting next to him in history class, and he was sitting there playing Doom, and I was like, trying to show him, like, Doom is super metal. I'm like trying to show him these bands, and he's kind of like, okay, whatever. I'm trying to play Doom, and then I'm like, I was sitting there looking, I'm like, have you ever heard of Viking metal? And then he just paused the game and he looked at me, he goes, okay, you got me. What? So then I showed him a Monomarth, and then from there he's been hooked, and it's his favorite band to this day. And then Odie always, he was always around metal, and he's more into the extreme stuff. He likes, Infant Annihilator, uh, Cattle Decap, and Demolich, like the really, really, really extreme stuff that he's listening to right now. But he's kind of always been into it, and so when we got him there, I didn't have to indoctrinate everyone for the entire band. I got someone who already knew what was going on.
Got one.
Yep.
And as far as violent insurrection goes, what would you say are the biggest influences on your sound?
There's a lot of thrash. So like you have Slayer, Testament, Onslaught, Warbringer, and then Metallica and Waste. But then me and Spencer got really into death metal. So then we started implementing Cannibal Corpse and Death, Obituary, Amon Amarth to try to get something that was a little more, not necessarily light. It was still really, really fast, technical, where there's a melody to it, but has the aggression of, death metal. And a lot of people have become too accustomed to thrash metal, but back in the day, thrash metal had that feeling of rah. So we kind of tried to put that back into thrash metal and into our riffs by adding some more death metal elements to it.
Yeah, try to make it as heavy and aggressive as possible.
Yeah.
And let's talk about you guys' music. Right now, I know you guys have a 3-song demo that's on your YouTube with kind of a remastered, re-recorded version of 2 of the songs. Let's start with Dead in a Ditch. I loved how big and epic the intro sounded on that. Who wrote that, and what was that process like of coming up with that intro?
Yeah, that was a combination of Jacob and I. We were listening to Iron Maiden, and it was Power Slave, and we're like, we should write something that's kind of like that, where the guitars, there's one guitar doing something different, and then there's the underlying stuff, because we were all, kind of, everyone was learning their instruments. I don't think Ashton had even settled on singing, and Spencer wasn't even playing bass at that time. He was still playing guitar. So we were just trying to experiment, and Jacob just, as I'm playing the chords, Jacob just started playing notes, and I'm like, dude, that works, keep going. And he did that whole solo melody over the top of it for that intro.
Yeah, it definitely has a very Metallica or Iron Maiden kind of feel to it. A very huge sound on the opening part of that. And then I really liked how it was mid-tempo for most of the song, but then it really picks up on the verses. And I thought that that was really unique. Is that just an idea to make that verse part really slamming compared to that big open intro?
I don't know if it was intentional. I think it just kind of happened while we're playing. A lot of the stuff, it just kind of happens. We don't like to necessarily sit there and overanalyze what we're doing, but sometimes someone is, we like, all right, we got to write something else for this part, and someone hits something, and everyone just stops and goes, wait, do that again. And I don't remember who came up with it, but yeah, just one of us just changed the tempo, and then suddenly everyone was like, whoa, let's do that. And then that's just how it worked.
Yeah, that song has a ton of tempo change, and I really like that. That it's got that kind of mid-tempo feel, then the verses are fast, and the choruses kind of slow down a little bit, but there's still a lot of movement to them. I thought that that was really unique. And of course, the SpongeBob reference was, a 10 out of 10.
Yes. Yeah, we all love SpongeBob, so we're hoping to do maybe some SpongeBob related merch for that song in the future, because we try to sneak quotes in there from different normal just things in our lives, just try to sneak it in there. And that was one where, like, people who aren't gonna get it aren't gonna be confused, but people who get it, they're gonna get it. So yeah, it's just, you got to have a little fun with it.
And the other one you guys did the re-recording or remixing on was Violent Insurrection. And that's another one. The intro really stands out, that fast trem picking to kind of open up the song. Um, who came up with that? Because I thought that was really cool.
I don't know, Jacob, you remember who came up with that one?
I don't. I remember that it was very different at the start. I think it was slower. Like I don't think we were even tremolo picking. I think it was like we were individually picking out those notes. Um, and then, uh, oh, I think it was like a bunch of the cymbals crashing with the notes at the same time. But then they added the double kick in, added a lot more. It filled the room with a lot more sound with a fuller drum kit. And we're
Yeah,
like, wow, we could play this a lot faster. We should probably
yeah.
tremolo pick
Well,
this. And
I think one
it
of us
sounds a lot
got bored
more.
and started tremolo picking for fun, and then we're just like, hey, maybe we should just swap to that.
We were playing that song for quite a while, so
Yeah.
it's gone through a few changes.
Yeah, and the other part that really stood out to me was the way the chorus riff has that kind of ascending aspect to it. I thought that that was really cool. And something I really picked up on with these re-recordings was Ashton's vocals. And you really kind of did something that was a little bit like Randy Blythe almost. How did you come to that approach with the vocals?
So when the YouTube ones originally went out, that was just as I had started doing vocals and I hadn't worked on it long enough. I had been probably doing karaoke to metal in my car for about a year at that point. I was like, you know what? I'll try doing vocals. So that was not knowing how to do anything vocal wise in metal. And then the stuff down the line, the re-recordings, which we actually have 5 songs out now that we've re-recorded or put out
Yeah, with
on
the new
Spotify.
EP.
Yeah, that we've done now. All those it's just been more experience has made it to where I can do more dynamic things with my voice.
Yeah, with those original 3 songs on YouTube, it those are all scratch tracks. So Ashton was just trying to get on time, and what happened was our drummer had the recordings on his computer, and then he left and he just ghosted us, and we couldn't get the tracks, and all we had was the scratch tracks. And we had set a goal to release the stuff because we wanted to get moving, and we kind of sat there without a drummer and these really crappy scratch tracks, and we just were like, all right, well, we'll call it Fubar because it's, fucked up beyond all recognition, and we will just release them, and then maybe a new drummer can hear what we're trying to do and then come in and we can do it for real. But yeah, they're not that. It's unfortunate that they're, we're embarrassed by them now because they were just scratch tracks, but a lot of it was, one take, get it done, and things were missing and out of place, and it was all over the place. But yeah, Ashton, when he first started singing, everyone was kind of like, "Are you sure that he should be singing?" Because to be
It
honest,
was not
and
good.
yeah,
It
and
was very
he
bad.
will admit it, he sucked. But I kept sitting there, I'm like, no, 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 let him cook, let him cook. And then suddenly, uh, I think maybe we went and saw a show or something, and I was like, just focus on these singers. And then he came in, he's like, I'm gonna try something different, and then just boom, and we were just like, whoa, perfect.
I
There you go.
listened to Arch Enemy, Alyssa Whiteglass singing. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try to do that. And then it just mixed with my previous like practicing of holding notes and doing all that stuff, and it made a new sound in my vocals that stuck.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of why I compared it with Randy Blythe because it's almost kind of got that hardcore aspect to it, is what he brings. And really, I think the quality is there. I think you did a really great job, Ashton. I think you
Thank
should
you.
be proud of that. And as far as Sage and Jacob goes, what'd you guys do with the guitars on the re-recordings? Did you do IRs or through amps, or how did you record your guitars?
Yeah, we recorded everything through amps. We like the history of metal, and uh, all of our favorite albums, they were all recorded through amps. So we had it in our mind that we're going to do it the way they did it, just so that we could experience that aspect of history. Um, so we actually went into a studio just so that we could get more information instead of trying to do it all ourselves. And we went to Mazareth Studios in North Bend, and Jesse was awesome, and he got our stuff immediately. And
Completely blew us away with how
yeah,
good he was at everything.
and we were able to record our stuff for real, and we had more experience. Everything you're hearing for the new stuff on the EP, on the demos, they were recorded in one take with maybe one little punch in here or there if there was a really egregious mistake, but it was all done in in a live take. So we you just got better and uh got someone who knew how to make our stuff actually sound good, and it ended up sounding good.
Yeah, I definitely think it sounds phenomenal. I mean, I think that the producer on it did a great job, and it sounds like you guys did a great job with your end as well. So let's move on to something really quick, which is the lyrics on these songs. And what was really the big inspiration behind the lyrical ideas? How did you guys come up with the lyrics?
uh so I think Jacob and I wrote a lot of the lyrics for I think just about every one of our songs. On our EP, Pray to the Holy, I came to him with lyrics, and then we started busting out guitar parts for it. For Dead in a Ditch, that one was about a friend that I had in high school who got into drugs, and it's basically the story of how he died. So, there's been, people have been some controversy, trying to start shit saying that we're, it's insensitive, but that's exactly how it happened. So I'm not going to apologize for that. And then Violent Insurrection, it's just that was written back in 2019, and that was Spencer and I, and that was just us being angry about the government and then turning it into songs. And then when we wrote Apocalypse, Jacob had the idea and he had 90% of the lyrics that he came up with. And that one was about urban sprawl and deforestation. Where it's kind of similar to Testament's Practice What You Preach. That whole album kind of has that similar vibe that we use for that song. And then with Arson, um, Ashton and I were at work and someone had set fire to a building next to our work. And we were sitting there at work just restocking shelves at QFC, and we're like, why would people want to burn down buildings? Like, what's with, in an arsonist's mind? And then that's how we came up with the song Arson. And we wrote that one while at work. I would just pull out my phone and write down the lyrics. And so lyrically, the inspiration can come from everything. We have songs that are written about Warhammer. We have songs that are about movies. We have just whatever we come up with, it we'll write a song about.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of it was pretty much like on the spot, like getting a moment of inspiration and just writing it down, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I'll be in the car and I'll just pull out my phone and go to the notepad and use the voice thing and just say a couple lines when they pop into my head, and then we'll see if we can work that into songs. Sometimes lyrics are there and sometimes we have to fight for them, but uh usually the like a chorus or two of the verses are there, and then we have to all sit down and try to get the last verse or get the chorus nailed down right. But I whenever someone comes up with lyrics, we kind of have a rule of, we'll give it to everyone and everyone needs to okay it. So is everyone okay with it? Do people have suggestions? Because I could come up with something I think is great, and then someone else could be like, well, what if you change this word? I'm like, why didn't I think of that? So you have five people that can, make the song better than just one person. So we always, before the lyrics go out, we give it to, I'll give it to Ashton, I'll give it to Jacob, and I'll be like, hey, what do you think? Go ahead and tweak it, and then we'll get first, second, third drafts from that.
Anything Jacob comes up with is not meant to be sung by humans, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just a
So
lot of work. I
Jacob,
think it's
yeah,
fun.
he really likes municipal waste and suicidal tendencies, and you have that kind of almost word barf where it's da 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 da, and Jacob will give Ashton lyrics, and he'll just look at him and be like, "Jacob, I hate you."
You're like, oh, Jacob, you should sing this. And I do have a hard time trying to do it. But I just think it makes sense musically with the song. It makes sense, at least for me. And
Fast riffs means fast lyrics.
yes. And on that topic, it's like people when bringing up lyrics and their own parts that they write, it's sometimes a bit of a struggle to be like oh, I don't really want to change that because I think it sounds this is how it should sound, and but I guess that's why we have multiple people in the band so that if someone is you know warmongering over what they think is this awesome thing that must be used, we have people to rationalize and bring that down.
Yeah,
It
we
really
can vote
sounds
on
like
it.
you guys are really collaborative with each other. I don't think every band is quite like that, but it sounds like you guys have really found a way to have all five people really involved.
Yeah, I'm really lucky to have a bunch of people that have that can be creative. Sometimes people are just really good at playing what's given to them, and Jacob and Spencer, they're both really really good at coming up with really good riffs. So I can rely on them, and there's been multiple times where I just give Jacob a bunch of lyrics and one riff, and I just say, okay, here you go, go. I want it to kind of sound like this, and then he pumps out a song. So um, yeah, we have a lot of songs that aren't recorded, but he can just Jacob can pump out songs, and Spencer and I wrote Violent Insurrection, all the guitar stuff for Violent Insurrection, and um, a lot of it was just I write something, he's playing something, I'm like, hey, wait, that was cool, and then we add something else to it, and there's a bunch of different perspectives. Spencer came from not having any music to listening to Amon Amarth, Municipal Waste, Warbringer, bands like that, and so he has his style. And then Jacob came from a very eclectic background of music, and he's really into hardcore riffs like SOD, MOD, DRI, Waste, and then I'm really into blues licks and a lot of Slayer in my solos, and then bands like Judas Priest where there's a lot of notes. So I like to add in a bunch of notes. Jacob likes to do the really heavy power chords, and then Spencer is kind of a hybrid of both of those things.
Sounds like quite the combination.
Yeah.
So, what's the favorite gig that you guys have played so far?
That's
You
a
know,
hard question.
yeah, that's a hard one. We've played, what is it, 13 shows now? Yeah, I think it's about 13 shows now. And I think my favorite was the one that we played last night at Tony V's, but if it's not that one, we jumped in last minute on a show at the Fun House in Seattle with our friends in Acerbity, and that was the first show we played with Odie. We jumped on that bill with, I think it was 24 hours notice, and it was Odie's first show drumming with us, and it was the first time that for Ash and I that our dad was there. He saw us play, and it was pretty full. And I think it was either that one or the one we played at Tony V's, because that Tony V's one, I think one of the first times where everything kind of just went the way it should have, where we didn't have technical, a lot of technical problems, and it just kind of worked. Everyone did what they were supposed to do.
My
think
favorite, I think,
there's
was Central Saloon.
really
It,
Central
it,
Saloon.
it had the best monitors I think we've ever had. And I
That's
could
true.
hear absolutely everything. And jumping off of that stage into like off of a 5 foot stage into the crowd of like 10 people, but whatever. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's, an argument to be made about that one show at the Lucky Liquor that we headlined.
Yeah, our
That
first
was an
That
headlining
awesome
show.
that
show.
was
Yeah,
great.
that was a great show. It's all the bands we played with were incredible. There was Invicta and Hellbox, and they both absolutely killed it. And then we went on, and we played a 45-minute set, and it was our first time getting an encore, and it was our first time headlining too. But nobody showed up.
There's still
So
a good amount of people. It,
Well,
it
it
it,
was
was
like
very nice.
it was funny. It was we were like, that was awesome, but no one saw it. But it was really good for our confidence with that show.
The last one I'll mention is probably the Charleston. That was we had
that
played
was
one
our
thing
first
before that.
real show.
Yeah.
The before that we had played with some local bands that are like way bigger than us at the times. And we're playing at what was it, like a community center
It's an event center in
event center.
Duval.
And that was the first time like playing in front of people ever. And then the next show was like this huge stage. It was like we didn't know what we were doing up there.
All
There
of a
was like
sudden, smoke machines started behind us. We were like, "Uh-oh,
Yeah.
that was jarring
this is
for
real."
like in front of like other people. That was completely new experience.
Yeah. And that was the first time we met our friends in Versipol who we're really, really tight with today. So
Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen them play live. They're really awesome.
they are fantastic. We love playing with those guys.
It might be a good thing that you guys all have different answers, you know? Like that might actually be a positive for your band as far as what your favorite gig is. Means you're playing a lot of gigs and you're all having a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to keep us all busy right now because we're just, kind of getting out there. It's even though we've been together for 5 years, we couldn't get a drummer that would stick and could keep up with what we were trying to do. So when we got Odie, I've been keeping us busy just trying to play as many shows as possible, um, just so that we can play in front of as many bands, as many venues, and get in front of people whether they want to or not, just so that they can see us play. And then, maybe later we'll start slowing down and not oversaturating the market. But we're trying to put in the work right now and play all these places, getting as much experience as quick as possible.
So what are your plans as far as future releases go?
So we just released the EP a couple days ago. We're working on getting CDs. That one's called the Arson EP. It has the 2 recordings of has Violent Insurrection, Dead in a Ditch, and then we have 3 new ones. We have Pray to the Holy, Apocalypse, and Arson. And we have that. I think after that we're going to probably go back into the studio, spend a lot more time, and be able to do a proper official recordings where all the guitars are perfect, all the vocals are perfect, all the drums are perfect, double track guitars, and then we will release a entire album hopefully next year.
My goal with that is to not have to do all the vocals within the last like 3 hours of recording.
Yeah, we try to cram a lot of that into 2 days, and we got all the instruments done the best we could, and then we just looked at Ashton. We're like, all right, you're gonna one take everything because that is all we have time for, and he did pretty good.
For this most recent EP, we spent 10-hour days at Mesra Studio. And the first day, Ashton was just sitting there in the chair watching us do our stuff.
Yeah,
And
just
he got,
staring.
Oh no.
He got a few hours at the second day at the very end to do all of his vocal stuff for his new song.
Yeah, so
And that room was dry.
Yeah, those
Oh, yeah, it
screams
was
you hear
dry.
at the end of Arson, the room was so dry, there was no moisture in the air, and he,
I tried to
you
get
know,
backing vocals and have the other guys scream, and no one could scream as long as
yeah,
I could.
none of us could scream, and it it was not ideal for his vocal style, but he got it done. And those screams you hear at the end of Arson, that was all one take, and that was after he recorded everything. He just at the end we're like, okay, you're gonna scream right now. I don't care if you have to, if you can't talk, we're done after this. So go ahead and do it. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna go blow out my voice right now. And
And I did.
yeah, and he did.
Well, any upcoming shows you guys want to plug?
Yeah, we got a lot of shows coming up. We got this coming up on the 19th and the 21st. We're playing at Lucky Liquor on the 19th, and then we're playing in Olympia at the Mortuary. And then after that, week after that, we're playing in the Charleston, and then we're playing in Chehalis. And hopefully August 10th, we're supposed to be playing our first show in Portland with Atomic Terror. I got to email them real quick, get the flyer for that, but that'll be our first time playing in Portland.
Awesome. Well, the band is Violent Insurrection. The record they have out is an EP called Arson. You can check out their social media on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you guys a lot. Thanks for being on Fast, Loud, and Rude.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye now.
Goddamn.